Okay, so this is our data frame that we're working with. So we can rename the columns. So if we want to just see what the indexes are, we can use this index command. And okay, it's not giving us. Yeah, okay, so it is giving us the values, but it's just telling us it's just the default range index. So it's start, stop, step. These are the default values. So if we want to specify exactly what we want, we can store a list, for example, as the index and as the columns. So here we're saying we're going to have a list from A, B, C, D, E, and here we're going to have, we're going to call the first column team and the second column random. And so now we've stored those values as the data frame's index and the data frame's columns, and now we've changed the data frame. Another feature of data frames is that you can add a new column by using this notation where you're specifying the data frame and then in brackets. We'll see this again. We'll see this a lot actually. In brackets, you are referring to the column that you want to do something with. In this case, it's a column that doesn't exist. So we're going to create a new column called integers, which has these values. So if this had been team or random, we would have written over that column. But since we had a new column name that didn't exist already, it creates a new column in our data frame. We'll cover how you do indexing, including this notation, in a bit. Okay, so we've seen this one already, but there's this dtypes function or method. So we type the name of our data frame and then a dot and then dtypes, and so this will give us the data types of each column. So since we didn't specify before, when we the last time we created this was here. We didn't specify the data type, so it's just going to determine automatically what the data types are. And so team is going to be an object. It's a string. Random is a floating point value, and integers are an int. So if we want to get some more info about that data frame, we can type df.info, and this will give us, it will tell us a bunch of information about the data frame. So it's a pandas data frame. The index has 5 entries from A to E. There are a total of 3 data columns, team, random, and integers, that each have 5 elements, and in fact the team has 5 non-null objects. That means they all have values. So team has 5 non-null objects or strings. Random has 5 non-null floats, and integers has 5 non-null integers. And it lists the data types and however many times we find them. There's also this function df.describe, which we introduced before, and this gives us some information about the numerical columns, sort of some statistical basics. So the count, the number of times or number of elements in that series, the mean, the standard deviation, and then the the quartiles, the min, 25th percentile, 50th percentile, 75th percentile, and the max. So this is a handy way to get a handle on your data frame and sort of some basic statistics with it. So another really useful thing about that we get with pandas is the ability to read and write spreadsheets very rapidly. So you can read comma separated values, you can read tab separated values, you can read Excel, you can read things with other delimiters, and you can write to those formats as well. And the nice thing about using pandas is that you don't need to use file handles and open and close files to read and write. It's all handled under the hood. You just need to provide the basic information, which is what is the name of the file, and where is it, and then what do you want to store that data frame as. So we'll come back to this in a minute as well. But so see if this works for you. I think you might have this stored already, or maybe I don't either. Okay. So if this file, if you get this thing, file does not exist, there's a couple things we can do. So I'm gonna open up a new terminal. Okay, so what we can do is we can go back to GitHub. Is it saved in lessons? Okay. Yep. Okay. So what we can do here is we can just change the path in our notebook. So the difference is that so this notebook is stored on GitHub, and on GitHub this data file is located in the relative path under data, but since we saved it to a different folder on our computer, we have to change the path. So this is a common thing. If you get these error messages, don't freak out. You can just read and says the file does not exist. So okay, I need to check the path. Question?
Yeah, I don't have it in mind.
Okay.
So I was just wondering, where do I need to find it?
Yeah. So you go back to GitHub here, and go back to the main page. Click on data, and then this is scripts.peer 2015-1110.csv, and then you want to go to the raw, and then you can go to just save as if you want, and then save that in that lessons folder where your notebook is right now.
I wanted to download the whole folder of data into my data folder.
Mm-hmm. There is I don't know. I think the easiest, well, I'm not sure if it's the easiest way, but the way I'm most familiar with would be to clone the repository using Git. There might be otherwise.
There's no cool command line way of pulling the whole directory down. I guess in GitHub, probably not super obvious.
Well, there'd be yeah. If you copy all these file names, you could write a loop that would run that curl command on every one of them, because the that raw link would be the same for each one except for the name of the file itself. So you could do that. There might be a way to download it. Question?
Yeah, it's not letting me save it as a CSV.
Okay.
I have to use a different extension.
If it won't let you, you can save it as whatever it wants you to and then rename it.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll pause a minute, make sure everyone gets this file, scriptspier 2015-1110.csv in their working directory.